There we go. Okay. Hello, Paul. One, sorry it took me a month to put this together. I know that we DM'd a while ago. Um, I'm sure you know there's been some stuff going on, you know. And then, but beyond that, yeah, thank you for paying attention to what we're doing. I really appreciate it. And I think what we're doing can be something that is mutually supportive in a big way. So I have an itinerary I want to stick with, and my executive function kind of goes out the window sometimes. I know that's relatable. So I have an itinerary. Ooh. Impact puzzles, the first thing we're going to discuss. So there's a reason behaviorally. Oh, I'll go problem solution. That was my plan, to go problem solution. The problem is that intellectual property exists across from a totality of impact. And when I say impact, it's a capital I material good, meaning that there's a totality of contributors, a pool of contributors that are all contributing rights, process, and results to the finished product of what then exists. And you know these assets as films, television shows, products, services, experiences, asset distribution, logistics, branding. Anything that is an intellectual property exists across from a totality of impact. However, on the market, we transact intellectual property as one unit. And this is a problem. Because first, it provides a dictatorial procedure and position for anybody who purchases that one unit, meaning that the market is dictated a certain way for intellectual property merchants. And then secondly, for lack of a better term, and because it's functionally what it is, it enslaves all of the compound value created to that one unit, and therefore the owner of that one unit and anybody who licenses their way in. That's fundamentally not a great way to build property. Now, all of us contribute to intellectual property in the labor force. We go to work, we create that impact with our rights to create the impact, with the process of creating the impact, and the result that now exists from my contribution. For that, I'm paid a flat value, a flat wage, a flat salary, and across from that impact, the unit of intellectual property extracts a compound value. Now, I've been working in show business for damn near 20 years, and I've seen with my own two eyes the compound value that is extracted from the labor force, and these folks can afford to share. So, that's the problem. We cannot transact intellectual property as one unit, and I worked through why. Because it enslaves the compound value created to the owners of the one unit, and it basically enables cronyism in the market. So we have to approach the intellectual property as a puzzle, more specifically an impact puzzle, capital I. So now we have a system of units, predefined hard-capped pool of units to define this intellectual property as it's being built, as it's being developed. And everybody who has the rights to contribute knows the process within the property terms of contribution, and creates a result that they've contributed. Now can own all three of those positions as one material good, impact, capital I, as their property. They own this property. Ooh, they own this property. I got my guy Iron Q over here. They own this property as a title, the same way we own our cars. If you get pulled over for a traffic violation and you need to prove ownership of your vehicle, you have to produce a title to the vehicle. So now we have the rights, process, and results in the intellectual property we're creating together. You can produce a title or several titles to the intellectual property that you're creating. That is what inherently a non-fungible token is. Now, my work exists on the blockchain, on the public notary service that organizes simultaneous user transactions in blocks and records those blocks in a programmable chain for everybody to witness and use. My work precedes all of the gambling nonsense and all of the liquidating scams that took place after. However, I've been unfortunately defined by that work, and I have not been able to enjoy my own agency and communicate for myself. And I hope that that has changed. I won't dip into why on there. I'm going to focus on the next point of the itinerary. So the impact puzzle is an approach to intellectual property that separates our behavior from transacting it as one unit and facilitates a sharing mechanic by transacting it as several units within a fixed cap puzzle. So there's some, the reason that we do this is because the notion to transact the intellectual property as one unit is very self-righteous. I study self-righteousness and how it disrupts our ability to communicate and create and deliver meaning with each other. So here, meaning, a value is a form of meaning, and self-righteousness corrupts our ability to create and deliver value, create and share value with each other, because we are enslaving that value to one unit of intellectual property and transacting it around and licensing in, allowing a few group of cronies to run the network that does this, while we are all left out and transacting our labor at flat value. It's complete BS. So, behaviorally, we're going to shift away from the maladaptation of the self-righteousness of dictating value of labor, and we're actually going to share according to merit using this digital titling system on this public notary service. So, who is Kimani Okearah is the next bit of the itinerary. My name's Kimani Okearah. Yay! Kimani means descendant of a great ancestor. It's a Kikuyu name out of Kenya. Okearah is a Bantu origin word that means bringer of great change and beauty. So I was born with these two names. These are the two names my mother chose for me in 1989. And I was born with prenatal cocaine exposure. If you're squeamish, look away, but I've been cut in half twice. So here to here, here to here. Got a couple side surgeries, but I'm in phenomenal shape. Goodness gracious me. Woo! Gotta tap myself on the back because it's actually pretty hard for me to stay in any kind of shape with what I got going on. So, I am what you would call a marginalized person. And because I was born on crack baby here, prenatal cocaine exposure is the medical term, PCE, I was trafficked by the state of California into the foster system. I landed in an adoption home or what I call a foster foundation home at 2 years old. And I grew in that home from 2 to 18. The day I turned 18, I was kicked out at 3 in the morning. So that was my Truman Show moment, realizing really my first interaction with transactable, well, not first, probably a conglomerate of interactions with transactable self-righteousness over the years, and finally realizing what the hell that was. So that, and if my foster foundation family watches this, hey, I love y'all dearly. Y'all need to buy titles to impact and develop them. Today. You listen to the man, okay? Listen. I can't even aim it right. Anyway.
It's okay.
Listen to the man.
We are here. We're live.
We're live.
This is real.
Okay. So, Kimani Okearah, I've been a producer of the entertainment product for 20 years. I'm not very prolific. There's not like a lot of big things that I've done, but I have things I pat myself on the back for. I was able to spend 10 years of blessed photojournalist and producer experience in the National Basketball Association as a full-time photojournalist. Extremely blessed. I own about 9,000 to 10,000 shots, all my impact as my property, so I'm very familiar with the concept, even beyond the digital titling system. And outside of the NBA, I've spent, like I said, over, this will be my official, coming up 2025, I think my 18th year in the entertainment product. Started off with penny punk rock videos, expanded into commercials and short films, and then shifted into television production as sort of like a synthesized co-career thing with what I was doing in sports media. Then my health got a lot worse in 2014, then compounded again in 2016. That's where that thing happened on the side. And since then I haven't been able to work at a prolific level, but I still work at a high level, if that makes sense. So, you know, producing things like The Bachelor and a show called Pool Kings on Discovery, and some stuff with Religion of Sports. I hate the name drop, but that's Tom Brady's production company. So I wanted to get my own credentials established well out the way first. As a producer, as a behavioral scientist, I have an associate's degree in behavioral science, and I have a minor in phonetic analysis and linguistics. And I'm on my approach to a PhD eventually. Hold your horses out over there in Scotland. to a PhD in cognitive linguistics at the University of Aberdeen in Scotland. So all of my behavioral science work in the impact puzzle is and should be branded under that university in case something happens to my health. They were very gracious in reaching out and right before the pandemic and exploring my research on self-righteousness and how it disrupts our ability to communicate and create meaning. Also, and Paul, you know this already, but my grandmother's cousin is a very, very famous celebrity whose name is James Earl Jones, and he recently left this realm. So may he rest in power. May he enjoy his next adventure, whatever that may be. And he's a big, big reason why I understand impact and intellectual property. And he's a big reason why everybody will understand impact and intellectual property. And I'm sure you agree, Paul, because what he's done in his intellectual property builds is create that impact that is his property, regardless of what anybody says or thinks, or it's just de facto, and everybody knows it. So I'm over here as his baby cousin by 11 years, her grandson, one of many, and I'm one of many grandnephews and many grandnieces. I downplay it a lot because it's very tacky to bring up. I had to bring it up because my impact puzzle work was plagiarized, and I'm sure you know a little bit about that because I tweet about it all the time, to the point of my own exhaustion. So, let's get into what Press Pass is, because that's where the meat and potatoes of this are. And Iron Q, my buddy, needs to go around 5:30 p.m. PST, which it is right now. So, I don't want to force you to go. I'm just giving you permission to not feel rude if you have to go.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're squeamish, look away. I'm going to show what my intestines look like for pity points and sympathy. There you go. Here, actually, let's blow it up. This is what I go through. This is what I survive. It takes about 2 to 6, sometimes 8 hours a day of all these sorts of manual manipulations to digest food. And this is the descending colon. This is my pelvic floor, and deposit area is my transverse colon, my gallbladder and liver area up here. And obviously, this is not shaped the way intestines should be shaped. So, when you're pregnant with children, stay off crack, kids. This could happen. Don't feel bad for me. Could be worse. The strongest battles, or what do they say? The hardest battles for the strongest souls, all that stuff. So there you go. That's what I survive. It's actually considered a grave disability because, like I said, this whole side is paralyzed. And if I take a bad step and this twists, or I get a rupture or something like that, the stuff in my intestines, which is partially or almost fully digested food, would then seep into my bloodstream, which would flow into my brain, which would cause a brain swell, and I would die within 15 minutes. Grave disability, the more you know. So, please support impact puzzle behavior, because it is my only living. I can't create impact on a schedule of obligations like a lot of people because of this. Alright. End Squeam! Okay, let's get into Musical Bears, Let Me Out Crypto Bears Musical. That's our first impact puzzle. It's this little social media musical, but we're not here to talk about that. We're going to get into Press Pass. In fact, let me open up the window I had reserved to open up for it. Okay, so Press Pass is a sports mockumentary super world. Super lore, deep lore, super world. All of the professional sports in this world are fictional, made up, and for the most part community developed as lore. So Press Pass All Access is an intellectual property franchise of my personal design and creation. Features a story world ecosystem focused on the micro-economies produced by fictional mixed-gender professional sports leagues around the world. This ecosystem, which is called Scalable Impact Puzzles on the Elmo Structure for Tokenomics, finances each production from the franchise by offering a collaborative audience experience in the story world, value assured by a proof-of-labor system that shares success-based residuals with production, the creator, and all hired labor on each season. So our collaborative audience experience is creating impact, developing impact. Again, capital I, material good, impact. Rights, process, result. So the rights here, you have the right to create a character you own, or claim a character that I've created as like a story world seed, but once you claim that character, you own the character. Process, you role play, a tabletop role play game. The lore of your chapters that you're involved in. The results are the lore that you've role-played, which is canonical lore, and the meme that you produce, a video audio meme that dresses up a moment from the lore that you've role-played as a piece of our archive for our mockumentary. So season 1 is a 24-episode sitcom that's going to look a little bit like an ESPN 30 for 30 and a lot a bit like your traditional workplace mockumentary. We're producing it here in Sacramento, unless Sacramento really doesn't want the jobs. The hell, town, come on now. I've been out here for 3 years shopping this around. And I'm talking to a British man about it. Okay? All right. No shade, Paul. I love you.
Oh, yeah.
The season 1 is a 2-tier asset. Tier 1 is the LoreGame, and that's probably 10%, not probably, it's 10% of season 1. Tier 2 is the actual production that Let Me Out Productions is producing under my show running helm, which is 24 episodes of this mockumentary product. Our season 1 mockumentary, the 24 episodes, is covering a story arc that focuses on the sports media professionals covering the worst basketball team of the entire community developed lore in the Basketball Syndicate of America, which the shorthand for that league is called the BSFA. The BSFA. So the team is called the Sacramento Majesty, and they're so bad in the year 2012 that the team and the owners, which are called proprietor guardians of the team, they're threatening to leave town. So our mockumentary is looking at it as a workplace mockumentary and a 30 for 30 style presentation of the sports media professionals that are covering all of this drama. And all of our flashbacks, all of our references to archival material, our entire lore foundation is community developed as an impact puzzle.
Let's go.
So the heavy lifting, again, 90%, like the actual film product at the end of it is going to be done by Let Me Out Productions, our team here. For transparency's sake, as showrunner and as the creator of the concept, I own 30% of season 1. The publisher of Let Me Out Productions owns 35% of season 1. Our hired labor force, which is at this point about 650 people on the roster. This is scheduled, by the way. We've only attached maybe 150 names. They share 20% ownership and net profit distribution from season 1 of Press Pass. Unions that provide us central bargaining agreement assurance and some trainings once a month, they will share 5% ownership of season 1 of Press Pass for their contribution. And then that leaves 10% as a shelf product to develop across from 530,916 pieces. The pieces are affordable. They are just like any toy that you might buy off a shelf, except for in this case, it's a digital asset, a title to the impact, capital I, rights, process, results that you're creating in this massive intellectual property that we're all sharing. So we share it asset by asset. And then after 30 years of building assets in this franchise, after season 1 wraps, we start a 30-year window. I decentralize the franchise of All Access in full. I don't own the franchise anymore. What happens is everybody who has created impact and has a title to impact throughout the entire process in any asset will now own that fraction of the franchise when it decentralizes. And then we'll share that as a community-governed franchise for the next 45 years until it enters Creative Commons. So we're going to be role-playing the lore of many different sports leagues and shooting a lot of different archival content pieces around this super world. We're starting off where my lane is. I spent 10 years in the National Basketball Association in real life, so we're going to do our mockumentary lore around the Basketball Syndicate of America in this fictional lore.
Are you guys even ready for that?
It's so fun. It's so fun. So before we get into the team guides and all that, the sport is basketball. The headquarters are New Brunswick, New Jersey, and Indianapolis, Indiana. The genesis of the league is 1939. Okay, Paul, you're not ready for what's about to happen. Let me get some coffee in me real quick. Hey, tell me I'm not one of y'all. Huh?
Tell me I'm not.
You see, there's some Thor, some Cap America, some Iron Man. Tell me I'm not one of. Tell me I'm not. I drink out of it. I'm wearing it too, but y'all don't know that yet. Q does. All right. Are you ready? Oh, okay, Paul. Okay. He doesn't know I can do this. You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let... Okay, not that. Founded in 1939, the Basketball Syndicate of America was launched shortly after the Black Actors Guild of America, formerly known as the Negro Actors Guild of America. In mission alignment with the Black Actors Guild, the Basketball Syndicate of America formed as an attempt to challenge the way Americans who are socially defined as black, due to their visual appearance, were portrayed in the global media exports of the United States. The BSFA was launched as a mixed-gender professional basketball league, founded by a black Haitian woman and a black American man as business partners with zero professional involvement. These original founders wanted to establish a professional sports system that celebrates the many-gendered warrior ancestry shared by much of the world. The Black Actors Guild was founded by Freddie Washington, Ethel Waters, Noble Sissel, Marian Anderson, William Handy, Robert P. Braddock, Duke Ellington, Edna Thomas, Paul Robeson, Robert Earl Jones, Louis Armstrong, A.C. Powell Jr., Frank Wilson, and Rosamond Johnson. The Basketball Syndicate of America was founded by Gaius C. Boleyn, a black lawyer from upstate New York, and Jacqueline Doucet, a former general in the Haitian Freedom Force, fighting against the 1915 U.S. invasion of Haiti until 1933. Doucet was a survivor of both the 1919 bombing and the 1929 Abbas-Misere massacre in her hometown of Lacaille. A personal friend of Charlemagne Peralta, Jacqueline Doucet knew to fight the revolution where it counted the most, the hearts, minds, and souls of the public. Doucet immigrated to New York City in 1937, a few short years after the U.S. occupation of Haiti ended. Inspired by the events at the 1936 Olympic Games, Jacqueline Doucet saw a pathway to ripen the hearts and minds of the American consuming public. While in New York City, she met Gaius C. Boleyn, a lawyer from upstate New York. After hearing the pitch, Boleyn connected Doucet to various influences around the country, including Roosevelt himself. A healthy American coalition of all different backgrounds provided the baseline capital for the syndicate. Boleyn and Doucet became the founding presidents of the Yonkers Highness, one of the original teams in the BSFA. So, the syndicate plays 60 games each season. Each team is owned by 101 to 101 interested parties. There's 100 team governors, and then there's like between 1 and 4 proprietor guardians. So we don't use the team owner. We don't like to use the term owner when it comes to like this sort of direct labor in basketball. You know what I mean? You don't own the players. You know what I mean? Like, so we call them proprietor guardians because this is a fictional fantasy lore, in fact. All right, buddy, take it easy. That's Iron Q out. Check out Do a Barrel Roll in the Bear musical.
Yeah.
All right. I'll probably see you tomorrow, if not the next day.
No worries. I will call on back to you soon.
All right. So we play 60 games each season. Drive safe, brother. Each team is owned and governed by 101 to 104 interested parties, and like it's really easy. You sign up in the game as an ecosystem professional. You say you're a team governor. The first 100 to do that are the 100 team governors of that team, and you are a governor for as long as you keep playing. And then as soon as you don't register as a governor, then that role opens up, and somebody else can claim it for the next chapter. The playoff system in any of our sports leagues is called the Lore War. The winner is rewarded with the BSFA Lore War Championship Cup, aka the Doucet Boleyn. The Basketball Syndicate has 30 teams in the year of Press Pass Here We Stick, also known as Press Pass Here We Season 1. The syndicate is organized into an East Side and a West Side, each with 15 teams. So the East Side teams, we have 6 East Side teams. Allentown Oats, Boston Potatoes, the Columbus Dutch, Manhattan Pantaloons, the Pittsburgh Gridlock, the Yonkers Highness. The West Side teams are the Calgary Mounted Elbow, the Chicago Red Beans, the Los Angeles Wet Fountains, the Minnesota Menace, the Nashville Whiskers, and the San Francisco Buoys. In the modern era, some of these teams go through... this is 73 years of lore we are developing as a community across from this fictional basketball league, across from these fictional 12 teams, and it expands to 30 teams in the year of 2012. So by the time we get to 2012, we'll have 30 fictional basketball teams, each with their own set of community-developed lore. And I get really excited to talk about how we can contribute and collaborate together on this. So again, this is an impact puzzle, which means as an intellectual property, Season 1 of Press Pass, 10% of the intellectual property is on the shelf for development across from 500,000, 916 pieces. That's how we finance the show. We're not selling the franchise to a distributor. We're not selling season 1 to a distributor. We are self-financing through community impact, sold as digital titles on the public notary service that organizes simultaneous user transactions in blocks and keeps those blocks in a programmable chain. It's actually super boring. I have no idea why so many people hate it. It's not environmentally dangerous. It's an energy solution for data networks footprint. Anyway, don't gamble. Don't gamble. Don't buy anything on the notary service thinking that the asset value is going to go up without your participation. Don't gamble. And the premise of what you buy on this public notary service is exactly, how do I develop this? Or what is this community doing that I would benefit from if it's a value protocol? But I won't get into that right now. We're talking mainly about the show and what we're doing intellectual property wise. And Paul, I believe you have a youngin', right? Like a baby or maybe a toddler? Listen, I can't speak for my whole family, especially not my Earl Jones cousins, but, you know, the agents all tell me the same thing, and I'm sort of trying to learn to embrace it. I never met James Earl Jones. Now, I know from what my grandmother told me, he and his father, Robert Earl Jones, were very instrumental in her life, keeping her stable and ensuring that any of us, me, were born at all. So that's incredible, and that credit really goes to Robert Earl Jones, who held the family together. My uncle, Robert Earl Jackson, was named after Robert Earl Jones because of what he did for the family. So James got his start in showbiz following Robert's footsteps, who was a Hollywood pioneer in 1927, getting his start in Oscar Michaud films as an independent performer and independent filmmaker. He was blacklisted for being in those independent films, for working with Langston Hughes, and then he went to Broadway for 14 years. He cleaned subway stations and hotel lobbies in New York City. Sorry, Matt Berry. Oh my gosh. What We Do in the Shadows is so good. If anything, that's like the closest vibe to what we're doing. Like a community developed What We Do in the Shadows as a sports documentary. Huh? Who's in? We'll get into the math and the science of it in a second. So I wanted to check my itinerary. So Press Pass All Access is the franchise. We're focused on season 1 of Press Pass, a 24-episode mockumentary sitcom, the first season out of an 8-season series that are all focused on the Sacramento Majesty and the press characters that we have covering the Sacramento Majesty from 2012 to 2020. So now here's the thing. When you create a piece of impact in the lore, let's say you, Paul, grab one piece of impact. These things are $30 for a version 1. This allows you to register a notable fan or an ecosystem professional in the lore of a team. And we're all starting in 1939. So let's say heavy spoilers. Let's say, Paul, you grab one piece of the version 1 and you want to put a notable fan in the lore of the Yonkers Highness, which eventually become the Sacramento Majesty, the main team we're covering in the show. There's no guarantees of any sort of lore usage in the main show, and I have no idea how our format as a writer's room is going to approach our lore. Okay, so here's a fan generator I put together with an AI. You guys can read the prompt, check for ethical sourcing yourself. Just hit edit when you go to the prompt. Let me make sure it's in the chat here. Oh, there's a chat that's popped out. Okay, so all the generators are here. I'll only send that one link, but there's 4 generators here. So, Paul, we're just going to pretend I spun you up a fan real quick, and we're going to put you in the 1939 Yonkers Highness lore chapter. That's the main team in the show. They become the Sacramento Majesty. Your fan rating is you're a C-tier fan, so you're a fair weather fan, you know, hardly care about the Majesty. You're lawful formal. Lawful... I don't remember verbatim, like, our alignment chart definitions. Lawful is characters who follow strict rules and adhere to prescriptive laws and regulations, no matter how unpopular it makes them. And then formal is characters who are strict and reserved. They place a high value on matters manners, etiquette, prescriptive linguistics, and following the rules. They act in high regard for others if they fit their behavioral prescription. So lawful and formal is your alignment chart. Your first fan commitment is polite. You try to give give tickets away. Your second fan commitment is candid. Players are under more scrutiny from you if you like you're the arbiter or something, but you're not, which actually fits your alignment pretty well. Your wealth tier is your Dolores Dollar, lower salary and benefits. You're a 61-year-old super fan who has the time, which is sort of contradictory to the Fairweather fan, but that's on you to figure out how to mesh those two things together in a character. Okay, so now you're in the adventure. You're going to place yourself in the chapter. Now, I haven't put together a list of adventures for the Yonkers Highness because I'm hoping that you guys do it, honestly. I'm hoping that Heavy Spoilers takes it on and they develop the 1939 lore for the Yonkers Highness, because you guys can do it right now and really make a whole content series out of it. So we'll get into the math of it in a second, because it's honestly not very expensive and I could really use the boost. Goodness. Okay, yeah. We're going to go to the Boston Potatoes. I want to go to the first lore chapter of the Boston Potatoes, which is right here. Shout out to Jimmy Wales and fandom for their patience in letting me build these impact puzzles on fandom with their open resource. It means the world. Because I can't really code. And hey, you know what? When the tool's this thorough, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my thing. So I'm hoping that they work with us to make it Web3 native. So 1939 Boston Potatoes. We have 12 characters registered to the lore chapter, so that leaves 288 more. If anybody who's watching this wants to join us in Boston, just grab this specific piece. Just grab one to sample if you're curious on the game, and then register a character. You can do that. I'll go through the how-to later. So we have the basketball god for the Boston Potatoes is Capricorn. This is a fantasy game. Every team has a god, like a sport god. So our original 12 teams, the gods are the zodiac signs. And then every team is a power element. They do affect your chart for how you play the game if you are attending all 7 pieces of your chapter, which are called lore parties. So if you attend every lore party over a 3-week span on the schedule and you contribute to the way the story is developed, you get a leveling bonus at the end of the chapter. And the leveling bonus is determined by your basketball god or the power element. That's one way it impacts the game. The basketball god is a decentralized character, and it's also a character that the lore wrangler or the lore master can use to affect the story in different ways. And then the power elements, I am literally I'm just putting them there and taking a full step back. What I would say is I don't want time travel and I don't want superpowers. But I want to see how you guys incorporate that into fan culture, into team culture, into the lore. So, this iconic... so, every lore... This is the lore chapter 1 of the 1939 Boston Potatoes. So, in the Yonkers Highness, Heavy Spoilers would design the lore chapter for the 1939 Yonkers Highness. And we already know you guys win the championship, because all of the championships throughout the 73-year lore are planted what we call pregnant monkeys. So pregnant monkey, I'll get into that actually. I don't want to distract from what I'm on right now. So lore chapter organization. Every lore chapter has an overall plot, and the plot has this, like for example, this iconic Yamaru, which is a potato story, but the 1939 Boston Potatoes inaugural season can only be described as a paranormal procedural sport punk story about the mesh of culture. Media Day begins with a celebration of the launch of the Boston Potatoes brand in history. So this just gives an overall theme, like content sort of vibe, art vibe, and well, this is like a story vibe, production vibe, art vibe, and then the theme. Paranormal, procedural, like a detective style show kind of thing. Sport punk. Sport punk is not a genre that I made up, I want to be clear. I just haven't seen too much of it, and the way I would describe it is like idiocracy kind of thing, sport punk. There's a definition of it somewhere on this website. About the mesh of culture. Media Day begins with the celebration of the launch of the Boston Potatoes brand in history. This lore chapter takes place primarily in Boston, Massachusetts between January and September 1939. So it has a location and a time period. We already know the location, that's where the team is, and the time period set by when the chapter is. The lore chapter takes place primarily in Boston, Massachusetts between January and September 1939. The chapter is full of incongruous mystery and surreal exposure to a depth of life and meaning never before explored through potatoes. The lore chapter takes place against the backdrop of the National Housewives League of America, local Boston politics of the time, the Irish Mafia, World War II, and Boston's years later adjustment to the end of Prohibition. So you can set a couple of different backdrops to what's going on. And this particular team was founded by the National Housewives League of America. That's why that's in the lore details. The lore master will set the amount of protagonists, and you set a spectrum. You don't want too many main character energies kind of going on, but you can, you just set a spectrum. So I set 24 minimum, 119 maximum, and that's up to the lore wranglers and the lore masters to figure out story beat by story beat. The antagonists, there are between 18 and 90 antagonists throughout this lore chapter. So again, it's main character energy, but maybe a villain, maybe subversive morals, that kind of thing. Any character that hasn't been rolled into a protagonist or antagonist is an impact character. Folks that don't want to make a heavy time commitment should always volunteer as impact characters to make space for those most committed to the experience. So if you know you're going to be like, okay, I'll show up, I'll roleplay a couple of things just to impact the lore to get something to meme about, and then I'm done and I'll go create my meme, put that meme in the archive, that's okay. Be an impact character, don't be a main character of one of these stories, because you're not going to show up and roleplay it. We don't want to necessarily make adjustments around that kind of stuff unless there's emergencies. So again, the chapter's full of incongruous mystery and surreal exposure to a depth of life and meaning never before explored through potatoes. As the showrunner and the overall game master, which my character is called Lensface for that, it's not tyranny or anything, but I'm just like, I can come in and just say, hey, there's another theme here that suits what we're doing for the main show too. So I can add that as like as a sprinkle of dust if it's relevant for any one of these chapters for any one of these teams. So in terms of story beads, every chapter will have 20 to 25 story beads that players can choose from to build lore in. So let's just go number one. One of the antagonists attempts to change the name of the team with other antagonists. They fail. Fixed detail. The drama ensues as the morals of correlating potatoes to Boston are called into question. So that is a 7-point story that happens between January 1939 and September of 1939. And as the lore master, you do a 7x7 pregnant monkey storytelling. So you set up your a lore wrangler would do this, I'm sorry. So if you want to be a lore wrangler and you want to control, like, DM these lore parties for 7 lore parties across a 3-week span, guiding the story of, where was I? Let's say story beat number 1 in 1939 Boston. So you have a group of antagonists trying to change the name of the team because they don't like that the team's called Potatoes. So that's just the overall line, the storyline. I know it's not very exciting, maybe, I don't know, it could be a good backdrop for a lot of comedy. And now you, as the lore wrangler, would say, okay, I'm lore wrangler of story beat number 1, and I'm going to write out the adventure. So you have the hook, the turn, the pinch, the punch, the squeeze, the fall, the resolution. These are the parties. So the hook, the turn, the pinch, the punch, the squeeze, the fall, the resolution. The hook will almost always take place at Media Day and FanFest in the appropriate season. Each character already exists and is fully immersed in their own story. This is how and why they come together for the through line. There should always be a dramatic or intriguing reason the characters come together in the hook. And if you're the lore wrangler or lore master that's planning a story bead, that's a real fun thing to come up with. The turn, chronologically speaking, should be positioned within 1 to 3 weeks after the hook as the first significant plot twist in the story beat. The pinch advances the story to its first full escalation. The punch delivers an emotional/cognitive punch. It's in the name! Character developers must agree with the lore wrangler's decision to introduce a character death as it's their property. Always reach out in private and try to organize that ahead of time if you're a lore wrangler or a lore master. If you see that character death is really going to be motivating or push the story in a way, and that character belongs to somebody, that's their property. You need to ask them, so no character will die unless the property owner kills the character, with one exception. Y'all will figure it out eventually. So, the squeeze follows the punch with a situation where the stakes have never been higher or lower. Like, have fun. The fall embodies a series of major setbacks where idealistic expectations set up in previous parties meet incredible resistance. And then the last party is the resolution. Wraps the story beat. An adaptable pregnant monkey detail is recommended to set a through point for this bookend to land on. Try to wrap up as many character arcs with a satisfactory end cover as possible. Please note that the story beat itself does not have to conclude. Many story beats will continue through decades of lore. Set up the next chapter for success if the story beats continues. So for the example, the Boston Potatoes antagonism of trying to change the name, that could happen literally the entire 73 years. That could be a story beat in every chapter where there's just constantly people trying to change the name of the team, and they're just never, like, it can become a thing that way if that's what people want to do. I do believe that in this process there are going to be story beats that exhaust themselves, that are going to be no longer fun because every angle has been explored, but we'll figure that out together. A pregnant monkey is a fixed detail in the story placed by myself or placed by a lore wrangler in their story beat or placed by a lore master in their lore chapter. So the hierarchy is, mine are cement. Like, the team names are cement, the team name changes, when the teams move, etc. All of the championships, all of the playoff series, the playoff seeding, those are all pregnant monkey details throughout the entire 73 years of lore. I want to be clear, this is not fantasy sports. That exists. You can go play simulation basketball, you can go play fantasy basketball, that exists. We're not competing with that. We are exploring a set of fixed details in the story world around professional sports, and we're having our characters compete to explain why they happened. And then after we establish the lore like this, we go and shoot memes based on what the lore that we've established, and those memes form the archive, a paid archive of a mockumentary sitcom produced by James Earl Jones' grandnephew. It's okay, I know how to spend money in showbiz. I did episode of The Bachelor, a couple of big budget projects, and I have a great team that have done everything that we're doing. So I'm blessed to have that team. So Pregnant Monkey shouts out to Abba and Preach for the term. I'll put this in chat too, because I have a specific link to. There's that. Anyway, so Preach says in this video that I linked, "Not my clown, not my circus, I'm gonna leave it alone. They're describing a family drama they're covering." And then Abba says, "I paid for a ticket to the circus. I want to know all the drama. I want to know why the kind lady with the knives is kissing the dude with the flamethrower. I want to know why that monkey is pregnant. I want to know why you're on the trapeze but you only have one leg. I want to know all these things. I want to know what happened and why." It's the perfect pitch for the press pass experience. So all of these things happened, but who was involved and why? What happened? What was the context? And let's compete. And I'll explain the game in a minute. So it's kind of an open world sandbox where we are tabletop role playing a lore that's canonical together. Now, a lore wrangler that's guiding the experience, they are scribes. They're taking the notes. They can use GPT, but we're trying to go for a novelization style that's really similar to a series of unfortunate events. I love Lemony Snicket or Daniel Handler. I just love that whole everything. So that's going to be our through kind of. Everybody can have their own writing style, of course. And then when you have your 7 points, the 7 fulcrums of a well-told story. That's how you organize your lore parties. And then each lore party should have the 7 elements established. So you should know during the hook what the antagonist energy is doing, what the fulcrum of the plot's going to be, where the primary setting within the subset. Like, we're in Boston. Where in Boston are we? You know what I mean? Fulcrum of conflict. In 1939, these places do have to exist. You got to be up on your research a little bit. So, or you can make up fictional places. I'm not saying that That you can't make up like a fictional place that's in Boston in 1939. But if you want to have a real world place and you reference a real world place that was built in like 1970, we got to adjust the detail on our end. So everybody in the community, we have to hold that sort of stuff accountable together, and it's pretty fun. Do we not do that already to everything else that we build in intellectual property, except for nobody owns what we're doing? In this case, you own the title to your impact as property. So this is what you do as a lore wrangler. You say, okay, I pick a story bead. Where do my story beads go? Here we go. Here we go. A series of self-absorbed misunderstandings leads to an escalating prank war between characters from the Boston Potatoes and the Manhattan Pantaloons. There we go. A joint story bead between two different teams. So now two different lore wranglers can get together and plan that joint story bead out, and already have interactions as pregnant monkeys that we have to explain. So let's get into how the game works. This is a ecosystem professional. There's 4 character styles you can roleplay as. You have a notable fan, you have an ecosystem professional, you have a syndicate player, like you play in the Basketball Syndicate of America, or you have a team coach. You're either one of the 12 head coaches of in the original BSFA, or you're one of the 24 assistant coaches. Those are the options. There's the 36 coach positions in the BSFA. In fact, because Yonkers Highness, Paul and I already sort of discussed, and I think MT got in on it too, if I remember MT. If I remember. I may have DM'd you and asked you what you thought, and I think you and Paul agreed that Yonkers Highness was the way to go. So I've already established a number of pregnant monkey characters in the Yonkers Highness. Is this the one that I have for you? No, that one's... By the way, guys, I'm very progressive in my politic, and I just want everybody to know ahead of time. What we're doing as progressives isn't working. So I'm personally going to approach our politic a little bit different, because it hasn't been working for me either. This ostracization of like trying to constantly grandstand as the better person for your politic, and running around being punitive of people that you think don't agree with you, or that you think you need to paint with a broad brush a certain way, that has hurt us so deeply. And I'm on the other side of that, over here being like, hey, I'm one of these marginalized people that y'all talking about. Yeah, I know I'm James Earl Jones' grandnephew. Okay, there's like 70 of us. That's not a big thing. Well, as the agents always tell me, let it mean what it needs to mean to the people who need it to mean something, and be very gracious that it does mean anything. So that I celebrate and welcome. But beyond that, anyway, let me, did I give you this one, buddy? No, but this is one of the founders of the BSFA, guys, C. Bolin, real person, claiming fair use and Creative Commons on his life rights, but real person celebrating his actual impact of history. So y'all can read this. I will put that in chat as well. And he's available. He is an ecosystem professional, so he costs $27 to register as your character to roleplay and contribute lore with and play the game. So let's actually get into how the game works. Should I read it from here, or should I read it from here? Yeah, let's go through here. Okay. So instead of offering the franchise to the market for distribution and control, I'm offering the separate distributed assets from the franchise, and I convert them into collaborative puzzles, impact puzzles. So Season 1 of Press Pass is a unit of intellectual property, exists in a similar fashion to a set of Legos. There are 5,309,160 pieces that fit a specific way. Let Me Out Productions and our team are responsible for 90% of the pieces, which are our proof of labor system. It's actually all the same. They all look the same exact title on the blockchain with the same exact serial number, but there's 4.7 million of them that we're going to distribute to myself, the platform, and every hired creator that is working on Season 1 of Press Pass. And then customers may purchase pieces from a pool of 530,916 pieces, the 10% to collaborate on the lore of the show. distribution rights to Season 1 of Press Pass are sold separately. And yes, heavy spoilers can absolutely buy a distribution gate, or your sponsors can buy a distribution gate, or your manager can buy a distribution gate, and you can be a content host every single episode on your channel or on whatever distribution channel you want to do. Have a live stream, watch it live with the audience, pause and talk about events, talk about things in real time. If it's a meme that you guys contributed or lore that you contributed that comes up in the show, I'm sure I'm sure that would be a fire experience to share live. This is the new showbiz, by the way. It's impact, creation, and sharing. Producer, distributor, breakdown. I don't, you know me, Paul, I don't reduce anything you guys do. I think you're so fundamental to the way the entertainment product works now. I think it doesn't work without you guys at all. And I want you to be more sustainable, and I don't want you to rely on the content quality that we're making as producers. Because, you know, somebody like me, if I don't go around flexing my granduncle's name, which is not appropriate for me to do, especially because I can stand on my own 2 feet in this craft, even the chances of me getting into a Marvel creative head position are so slim. So, like, expecting myself to get in there and try to affect the quality standard in these things, they do great. They do, even their worst stuff is pretty good stuff. You know what I mean? We all agree on that. But you guys are reliant on certain audience numbers coming through. And if you're reliant on the quality of content that's produced outside of yourselves for those numbers, you're going through it right now. That's not sustainable. So now we have a shared story world, shared intellectual property concept that you guys can develop, grow, make as much content around as you want within the terms of the property. We'll get into that. So each piece, each of these 530,916 pieces here, adds one character to the lore. Each piece can only ever register one character. Then it cannot register another character. So at most, Season 1 will add 530,916 characters to the lore, and I don't think it'll add quite nearly as many, but we'll see. The world can sustain that many, and that'd just be a lot of NPC tiny stories going on, which is fine. That's also really fun. If that's the outcome, that's the outcome. So each piece equals one character, one time. One chapter of roleplay, but if you sell it to somebody else, and they pay the original price, 0.0091 Ethereum, we're getting about $30 right now, then it resets that chapter registration. So let's say that 10% sells out, ideally speaking, it funds our whole show. Now, and you need to, and like, okay, I only have 5 chapters for my character, I want to buy 5 more chapters. Well, somebody else might have already used up all of their pieces, and they say, well, okay, I'll buy your pieces. But you have to pay the original price because of the way that the enforcement system works. But it's also just to control, make sure the secondary just stays there. Honestly, I don't want people speculating, and I don't want people claiming anything was a rug pull. So the tickets to the experience to register your character to a chapter are $30, or no, ideally they're speaking, they're $50. But we're beholden to the blockchain and the discounts that they provide for us. So here you go. And then so one character, one chapter of roleplay, and then one resulting meme from the lore that you establish added to the video archive. The meme is the monetized result that you're enjoying. It's a 4 tiers of monetization. First tier is the meme could be used as a flashback or reference point in an episode. Let's just bring that up. And if your meme gets used in an episode, we have a bounty for every episode set aside in our budget that pays out for meme use. So if you see your meme used in an episode and you go check your blockchain wallet, is what it's called. It's like an intellectual property license / wallet, where digital safe, if you will, that keeps your property and keeps the value that is sent to it. And it's really easy now. When you receive value on your intellectual property safe and on your wallet, you can send it to your PayPal now and just convert it to US dollar cash or you know, the sterling pound, So it's really neat. What? Man. What? What? Why did that not load? Oh, okay. LoreGame math. That's right. Okay. Just load. Just load, baby. Okay, screenshots. So, Paul, I want to get into what this will do for you and your community. So, here's pitch number one. 25 pieces of the show costs about $680. Now, the episode bounties per episode are $1,500 US per use. That means that, let's say that the show wrote 50 memes into the episode. 50 memes into the episode as flashbacks and reference points. That means per meme in our budget, we have to set aside $1,500 per meme for that episode. Now, you buy one piece as a customer, and you go and you do your character, you role play the experience, you shoot a meme, the meme goes in the archive, and one of our characters sets it up with a quip, and we flash back to your archive meme. And you own 1 to 6 pieces. You're going to receive $109 in your blockchain wallet, like as the episode's playing, right after the meme's used when it's live broadcast, which is dope. So we reward commitment to the property with higher issuances. So out of this bounty. So if the bounty isn't paid, it just recycles back into more meme use for addition down the line. So 7 to 24 memes, your bounty moves up to $525 per use, and you're also putting 7 to 24 memes in the archive. You're also now qualified to operate as a lore wrangler for every 7 pieces you have. So somebody who has 21 pieces could wrangle 3 chapters in a row. A lore wrangler goes into a lore chapter that there's so I've arranged the game. Every team has chapter by chapter. Every year of team history is a chapter. So we started in 1939. We ended 2012. The oldest teams will have 73 chapters of lore each. That's 12 teams times 73 chapters. There's 300 characters per chapter that are role-playing that lore into a canonical result across from 20 to 25 different adventures. Each adventure is occupied by 12 to 16 characters that are role-playing in that adventure to create the result. So it's actually a really tight-knit group. Like your normal tabletop role-play table, you're going to have a couple fans in there, a couple ecosystem professionals, maybe a coach, maybe a player. Doesn't really matter. The players don't have to be present for the story beats that are covering the games. If they don't want, they can go tell whatever they want. They can go impact whatever story they want to impact. So, like, here's one. The Fry Cooks of Boston go on a 7-month strike. The Fry Cooks of Boston go on a 7-month strike. So, you organize that into a hook, a turn, a pinch, punch, squeeze, fall, resolution. You organize each of these into the antagonist energy, the plot, the setting, the conflict, the narrative voice, the theme, and the protagonist energy. And now you have 3 weeks of roleplay adventure set up from this 49-point detail chart. It's pretty easy to go through. In fact, you can actually have ChatGPT do it. It's pretty and I honestly love the chaos of that. So I'm not opposed, because all of this is work that comes from my abstract depth of thought, and now we're going to take it and synthesize it with a little bit of AI to make the experience better. I don't mind that at all. Just make sure you're using this direct information to inform the prompts. So I'm the showrunner and the overall LoreGame guy, the overall creator. So my cement is the cement. The team name of Boston Potatoes, it's my creation. It doesn't change. They're the Boston Potatoes in 2012. Now, what I can anticipate across from that story beat of we're trying to change the team name because it's offensive to Irish people. There might be a contingent of fans that insist on calling the team a different name and there could be a subculture or a counterculture in the lore that does this. Now, so I do the overall sandbox. I set the rails, the rules, the terms, everything, and they're all very fair in my opinion. The next level of like story impact are the various tiers of lore master. So a lore master says, I'm going to design a lore chapter for a team, and you buy 25 pieces of the show to lore master. So you buy 25 pieces. Like I said, it's about $700. Buy 25 pieces of the show, and now you're saying, I'm going to roll lore master 1939 Yonkers Highness, which I don't have the chapter set up. So you go through and you copy exactly what we've done on the Boston Potatoes. I do have the basketball god, which is Scorpio, and the power element, which is metal. All that's been set up. But the plot, the location and time period, which is Yonkers 1939, the protagonist spectrum, the antagonist spectrum, the rest of them are impact characters, and the story beads have not been designed. So my challenge and my welcome to heavy spoilers is to come in as a lore master for 1939 Yonkers Highness, grab 25 or more pieces of the show. I would say grab 5 version 2s, which would give you 5 characters, and 20 version 1s, which would give you 20 notable fans and ecosystem professionals, including the team governors, including the team founders, if you like. And then you organize 20 to 25 story beads, and your team, that initial group, can you guys can play. If you only have 25 pieces, the best way to set that up is people are going to want to do more than one chapter. It's just the way that the experience is going to work. So, Paul, let's say you grab 25 pieces, and you're going to role play one character, and then MT is going to role play a character. I don't know the team of the behind the scenes, but let's say you got 3 other people at Heavy Spoilers or adjacent that are role playing characters. Maybe Whitney, like get the gang together and role play. Just have a table of 5, and your table of 5 will go through, and let's say you're doing this one. I know it's not Yonkers, but let's just pretend it is Yonkers. Some protagonists want to build a new Zeppelin in Yonkers despite mass protests. So you guys are going to set up the through line, and you'll do it this way: hook, turn, pinch, punch, squeeze, fall, resolution. Now, the story beat can handle 16 characters. And this is a great way to interact with your fans and your audience, because you can facilitate their lore creation. Now, facility looks like, let me bring up the math again. You are the property owner, and we allow an agent rate on your property. So 35% is the standard agent rate. That's the facility rate. So meaning that as property, if you're the owner and you create the impact, let's say you buy the piece, you're the person who shows up, creates the character, shows up to lore play, and shoots your own meme, then you have 100% of the revenue stream coming from your rights, process, and results, the impact. If you essentially hire somebody to create that impact for you, that's a fixed term relationship. It's the agent rate of Hollywood, 35%, pretty good agent rate. So that looks like this: 25 pieces, episode use. The owner gets paid $236 for if one of those 25 memes ends up in the show, or a clip from one of those memes ends up in the show. The person who is playing ends up with $440. And they're playing for free. You're the property owner, you bought the property, you plugged them in. All they have to do is show up with their character, role play, establish the canonical lore, and then go outside and shoot something. And you guys can do that all together too. So you're literally creating content for the TV show. Now, that's the episode use bounty, and then you can improve that. This is really, Paul, you got to talk to sponsors about this bad boy, okay? You become a top brass authority or top brass elder. Now you're producing 10 lore chapters, or you're producing. Or you can do it you can expand chapters. You can arrange it by like if you buy 250 pieces, you can put 250 characters in the lore, and you can establish 250 chapters of lore with those characters, and you can put 250 memes in the archive. If you have 24 or less pieces of the show, your memes have to be 7 seconds or less. If you have 25 or more, your memes can be 5 minutes. So 25 times 5 minutes is 125 minutes. So when you buy 25 pieces of the show and you strategize your content creation correctly, you're creating a feature-length film in the archive. You own your film. If you want to edit that together into literally a feature-length film and go seek distribution and go take it to film festivals, it's your film, your characters. It's a shared lore that's already licensed within the terms of the game. So 25 pieces for $700 is licensing essentially for a feature-length film in the lore. All you got to do is collaborate within the terms of the property. Now, we advertise our show using the memes as well. We will never shoot, you won't see an advertisement like normal. In fact, you're just going to be scrolling and you're going to see like these weird lore memes that we're all producing, and with no text or context, and then just like a 1 second press pass flash ad at the back half. And every single one of those that we release into the wild, if your meme's in one of those, you get paid out of a $500 bounty. If you have one piece, $36. With 6 pieces or less, you get $37. 24 pieces or less, $175. You see this? This is cool, man. Our advertising budget's huge too. We're gonna do it globally. So like, I'm gonna make sure that memes that come in, that are Boston lore are gonna be playing in Boston ads. Memes that are in Minneapolis lore are gonna be playing in Minneapolis ads. So this would be great outreach, and this is just how we're gonna pay. This is how we're gonna advertise the show. Way cheaper. Way cheaper. Wall Street hates me. They love me, but they hate me. Okay, so first profit position from a meme that is produced from character creation, role play into canonical lore, and then memeing the lore into a piece of content that now exists. If we use the meme in the show, it gets paid across from an episode bounty, and that bounty system pays more out based on what your commitment is to the puzzle. And that's just, so an executive producer has 53,091 pieces, which cost right now $1.4 million. Per meme, they get paid $1,425, but it's a split position between the owner of the property and the people they're facilitating. So an executive producer would come in, they'd spend $1.4 million on the rights process results to create 53,091 memes of production. And across from their impact that they're creating and facilitating, if one or several of those memes is used in an episode, if they get damn near $500 per use. The person that is playing on their behalf gets $927, and they played for free. Again, executive producers getting $166 per ad use. Person playing gets $308 per ad use. So this adds up. That's the first two profit positions. The third is the same way that you have to buy the meme to get into the game. We sell your memes. The official show sells the memes as part of our marketplace. We sell each meme, 1,000 editions of each meme, as a limited collectible. There will only ever be 1,000 editions of your meme as official press pass merchandise. And you price it, but you keep 50% of the position. And the show keeps the other 50%, although we do have a charity kick. And I believe our charity issuances are community governed. So $5 per meme means that each meme has 1,000 editions at $5 per. If your meme is entirely original, doesn't involve actors you need to pay and include into residuals, doesn't involve musicians. It's a 7-second thing of you talking about something that happened in the lore, and you're pretending like you're an official character. You're talking about the character. You're doing a talking head bit, whatever you want to do. You're charging $5 an edition, and that sells out. So it comes up in an episode, so you get the bounty, and you're enjoying yourself, and then let's say Heavy Spoilers is distributed. Let's say it's a live broadcast on Heavy Spoilers, and Paul pauses the thing like, that meme was hilarious. We need to find it. He finds it, posts the link in chat, and immediately all 1,000 editions sell out. Well, now the person who produced the meme just made $2,500 on top of the episode use bounty, which was $109, and that's if they spent $27 to roleplay a character into the canonical lore. This is the position they're creating by doing that. So it's $2,600 is the minimum position, because we do a $5 minimum on the editions, but past that you can price it whatever you want. So if you want to charge $100 per meme, you do the math. You keep 50% of the position. And again, facility always has fixed terms. So when you are including other people to create this impact with you, it's a 65-35 split. Now you're an agent, you're facilitating, and you have to share 65% of the position with the people that are creating impact with you, and then you keep 35% as the owner and facilitator. That's just how this works. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Okay? That's just how this works. It's also incredibly lucrative. This is my favorite part. So, I've just described 3 positions. Episode use bounties, which honestly less than 1% of the archive will be used in episodes. Ad use bounties. Probably about 10% of the archive will find its way into ad use bounties. We're thinking there's going to be 500,000 memes to choose from. So we will have 50,000 memes out there in the wild on ads. Either clips from the 5-minute memes from the lore masters and above, or just the 7-second clips in full. So, I call it leasing when you facilitate the property. That's just what it's called on the spreadsheet. So, one piece is $27. The max potential for that piece, once developed, is $2,600. 7 pieces is $200. You can lore wrangle now. You're not a lore master, but you can come, let's say Levy Spoilers is lore mastering a chapter, and let's say MT is going to lore wrangle as MT, like as his own brand. Not as an employee of Heavy Spoilers, but as MT, like his own brand. So he'll come in, he'll buy 7 pieces, he'll put 7 characters in. He doesn't need to put them all in the same chapter. You can also use them as NPCs if you're not role-playing them directly, which is really cool, especially from a Wrangler or a Master position. These 7 memes position this impact creator for $22,400. 7 characters, 7 chapters, you're a lore wrangler of one of the chapters. And if another chapter needs a lore wrangler, let's say you've already done you can stamp 1 lore wrangler position off of 7 pieces. So you have 14 positions, you get 2 lore wranglers. The only time that you'd lore wrangle for free, let's say you do lore wrangle in chapter 1, chapter 2 comes up, you only have your 7 pieces, but the chapter just needs a lore wrangler. By absolutely, then you can step up. You're the first on the list to, I don't know what to call it, maybe like a legacy lore wrangler if that needs to be the case. But the first positions of lore wrangling are always going to go for the people who pay for the 7 pieces to register to that specific chapter, to lore wrangle that specific chapter. And a beat that they like. But you lore wrangle, you produce 7 memes, 7-second memes. $22,400 potential. $200 purchase of property to develop. Okay, the toe in the water for Heavy Spoilers. 25 pieces, 5 characters across from 5 people. $85,000 potential from that development. $680 purchase of property to develop. If you don't use it, it won't compound value. Okay? 250 pieces. This is the graduated role that I would love to see go for Heavy Spoilers. The organization structure for this is usually 25 characters across from 10 chapters each. And now you can do your team and audience members. Split position, $925,000 potential. 33% potential is $305,000. Paul, look what that costs, Paul. $7,000 for 250 pieces of the show. 33% of the potential from what you're developing is $305,000, Paul. I love you, Paul. I love saying your name. 5% is $46,000. It's a 5% hit on episode use bounties, ad use bounties, and 5% of these 250 memes, 5% of those editions would be 250,000 editions on the store. 5% of them selling out would make you $46,000 as a split position. So the split position, let's go back here, 250, you Okay? So you're giving up 65% of it to your audience, and you enjoy 106,000. By the way, that 65% that you're giving up to your audience is considered art donation, at least in the USA, as a tax write-off. Pretty cool. Don't know what it would be in the UK. Okay, same thing here. 5%. $16,000 position. $7,000 purchase. 5%. 5% of the editions that you're producing sell out as digital collectibles. Now, my problem with this, admittedly, is that there is no market for these things. Nobody's into it. Nobody's into digital collectibles. Nobody's into digital titles. However, our platform brand is the first publicly built intellectual property in the entertainment product. This is This is the first piece of a 500,000 piece intellectual property puzzle defining Let Me Out Productions as a studio. And we minted this piece. We put it on the record on March 24th, 2021. Look at this. It's right there. Put that in chat too. Okay. Now, I'll go to the first Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is the thing that defines the entire blockchain. Is what everybody thinks of blockchain as. You buy a title to a graphic or an image, and then it's going to go up in value because it's a gamble. Okay, so you saw March 24th, 2021. Here's April 22nd, 2021. What's earlier? March 24th, 2021. That's earlier. The problem is that I was ignored, buried, completely ignored, defined by the Bored Ape thing, all of that. The impact puzzle is the actual use case for the blockchain and how to publicly build intellectual properties. Everybody owns what they contribute. So 90% of these potential positions are the operation of the result as a collectible. 1,000 editions of a collectible, selling to collectors that enjoy the content. They're watching the episode, and they're a huge fan of one of the fictional teams, and you're a notable fan from that fictional team. Put a meme in that we reference in the episode, gets used. That collector now goes and checks out the lore that you've created. They buy that meme. They buy all your memes. They're like, I need to collect every meme from this character. I'm wild about this character. Maybe they collect all. Maybe there's somebody who's like a super fan of the Yonkers Highness over time as we build the lore for it, and they just need to get an edition of every single meme produced in Yonkers Highness lore. Now, again, this position here, you guys can produce 7 seconds or less. Here and above, it's 5 minutes per meme. So 25 pieces is 25 memes. 25 times 5 minutes is 125 minutes. That's a feature-length film. Pick a chapter, 1939 Yonkers Highness. 5 characters are going to role-play lore in the 1939 Yonkers Highness. And or 1939 to 1944. We'll do it that way. So you have a 5-year progression, 5 characters, 1939 to 1943, I believe, actually. Yonkers Highness over those 5 years. I say that because 1939 is chapter 1, and then chapter 2 also starts in 1939, so it can be a little confusing. 25 pieces, 25 memes, 5 years of history, 5 characters, 5 chapters each, 5 memes each. Maybe their perspective. You guys network, write a great story. You're shooting a feature-length film about these 5 characters in this 5-year span in Yonkers, New York, around the story beats that you're exploring, which don't really have to have anything to do with professional basketball. Now, this result at 125 minutes, we segment them out as you submit them, and we use and sell them as they are segmented out. So when it's 5 minutes or less, that's strict. We only want a 5-minute submission across from one of these pieces. You can edit together however you want as your result, but if there's one piece here, one of the 25, it's a 5-minute or less clip coming in as a submission. From that clip, we will never probably use the whole 5 minutes in an episode. It'd have to be really good. But I am planning on doing sort of a post-credit experience where maybe at least once an episode, like after every episode, we have at least one 5-minute meme that plays after the credits. And or as like an optional click to. And we will be clipping from those 5-minute segments if we need to borrow a clip from one of those things. The bounties apply the same way. It's not time based. So if we use all 5 minutes in an episode, the bounty is the exact same as if we use 7 seconds from your 5-minute clip. Now let's say you have your 25 memes. You submit them to us. We have our episodes, our ad use, our addition use as collectibles, and potential future use. I didn't bring that part up either, but we're doing season 1 right now. I have 8 seasons planned in the main series, and there's a super world beyond that. So not only will not only do we have our system for episode use and bounties, you can license your clip to other people who are building content streams. So if somebody else is like, hey, I really need your 5-minute scene in my 25 in my presentation, like I want to borrow, then you can work that out separately. I would say I think the community might agree that if you own an edition and you are an impact developer, your ownership of that edition gives you license to include that edition in your output, which would provide another incentive to sell and buy these things. I think we'll just put that in the user agreement. So here's the tiers. One piece of the show at version 1 is that's obnoxious. $27 right now. 7 memes of production are $190. 25 is about $700. To own intellectual property on the blockchain, all you need to do is go get an intellectual property wallet, and this is the one I recommend. This is the one Let Me Out Productions recommends. Put it on your browser, you can put it on mobile, it's super easy to use. This is a digital safe on the notary service for the intellectual property you own and any value that you're producing or any value that you want to put in that safe. So, as a safe, it has a dial lock. I know it's digital, but it's a dial lock. And instead of numbers that you have to click in a specific order, it's a list of words that you have to type in a specific order and spell them exactly right and get the case exactly right. This is called a seed phrase. You don't get to make up your own seed phrase. It's randomly assigned to you when you sign up for the wallet. So you write that down. I suggest taking a picture or a screenshot of that assigned seed phrase and keeping the picture or a screenshot on like a thumb drive of cold storage, writing it down physically and keeping those copies in a real safe. It's that sacred. And you can also try some really highly protected cloud storage techniques. We have methods that we use here, but I won't put them out on a public broadcast. But Rainbow Wallet, you can put it on your phone, you can put it on the browser. On the browser, it's just an extension, and it's really easy to buy intellectual property once you have a Rainbow Wallet. You just go to the link that we put in chat. There we go. You log into this interface with your Rainbow Wallet. Oops. That's not the link we put in chat. You log into our marketplace. You can log into OpenSea, LooksRare. They're available on both marketplaces, and it'll cost you about $27 flat, and then there's going to be a notary fee because it's a public notary service, so you have to notarize the custody transfer from Let Me Out Productions to you, the customer. And that's called gas in this world, but it's just a notary fee, and that's, you can anticipate anywhere from like 10 cents to sometimes $5 to $10. It depends on how busy the network is. So when you buy this, so you log into your Rainbow Wallet, you can just put your credit card right under your Rainbow Wallet and buy Ethereum. Ethereum is the cryptocurrency you want to buy. So cover the cost of the purchase and always go $5 to $10 higher than the sticker price because of the fees. And then you just go to the marketplace. You buy your piece, and then you can go to letmeout.productions, our website, and there's 2 different interfaces that you can go to onboard your character. First, you can go to the top brass down. It's right here. It's the 3rd link down. click there. And then the last one is our Discord server. You can click here too. So go to our Discord. I'll put this in chat. And then I will put this in chat as well. Actually, that's a good idea. So Discord and dwork are the two development spaces. You can do it on either one. On dwork, I'll just show you guys real quick. We go to Press Pass Season 1. You click on your executables. You can only see this interface if you own the intellectual property you're developing. And then let's say, okay, I want to register an ecosystem professional. So you click on the ecosystem professional tab. There's going to be some helpful language to explain kind of what's going on. If you don't like this, I did do a Google form. You can do Google form if that's kind of what you're used to. So then you just go here and you go step by step. Register your purchase or sponsor. So let's say you buy your piece. In fact, let me go to my character. So this is me. I'm Lensface. I registered this piece with a version 2 because it's a team coach. You need a version 2. And this is the transaction that I registered in it. And I registered edition 2 of 5. So I purchased 5 editions in one transaction. This is the second of my 5 editions that I'm registering on the Into the Impact puzzle. So you can see here I spent $300 and I paid $77 on that day to notarize this custody transfer. It's not hey, the pioneers fought for a lot, and this is one of the things that we fought through. So I bought 5 pieces of the show. I have to buy them too. I can't just like play this game and create lore. Well, I mean, I can do whatever I want creating lore wise, but in terms of like hacking outside of my responsibility, I have to play the game same as everybody else. Like if I want to create lore for Aaron Pooh Kellogg, I have to do it this way. So I bought 5 pieces. The second of the 5 pieces is what I've used to register the edition. So when you buy your piece, it'll give you a transaction hash, so like a receipt. You just copy that, and you paste it right, and you hit submit, and you just paste it right here. Submit. Okay, so I submission, I purchased, and now I have a finished task. So is that my ecosystem professional? I think it was. Okay, so 1 of 1 done with my registering my purchase. Preferred name in the Press Pass ecosystem. I hit submit, and I'm going to type #Lensface. I'm approving my own submissions just to speed this along. Click out here. Okay, so look, it checks them off as you go. My wallet address. You know what? Let's do that over here real quick. Mind you, a wallet on Ethereum and these blockchains, there's different platforms that you can use to sign up for a wallet. I use Rainbow Wallet. I use Coinbase Wallet. I use MetaMask. I use them all interchangeably with different wallets. So this is my MetaMask. I don't think there's 19 cents in here. I'm going to click up here, copy to clipboard. On Rainbow, there's a big copy button over on the, like it's right here, but it's the same thing. So you copy to clipboard, and I'm going to submit work. I'm going to paste my wallet address. Okay, so that's done. Go back. Do I agree to receive the airdrop of the official press pass, the digital tracker for your character, and the self-custody Ethereum wallet that you registered to this ecosystem? I'm going to type yes. Hit submit. Approve. Which lore chapters are you registering in? If you purchased a graduated role, claim it here. So let's say that I've purchased a lore master position. So I am a lore master. I'm going to type in Boston potatoes, 1939. Also type in LC1 for lore chapter 1. Now, I'm just clicking up here, back, like, this is just to go back a tab, so I have to click out of this window. Are you claiming an existing character or making a custom character? The generator is actually not linked here, so let's figure that out. Okay, so there's the generator for EcoPro. I am saying, check this out. It's as easy as this sometimes. Oh, she's awesome. 60-year-old union representative that works for the feds, driven by abstract thought with a professional goal of inspiring the coaches. I save all these portraits because you can't get them again. Custom character. Submit. Oh, you know what? Let me reject that. What? Okay. Custom character. I don't want to do a custom character. I want to do a character that already exists. So let's just do that. Lydia Mittens. Okay, so you just submit the link. Approve. Now Lydia Mittens is claimed as an ecosystem professional by me. I'm not actually claiming her, but there you go. Okay, so since that character already exists, I don't need to type anything else. I'm done. And then the last thing I need to do is just make a fandom account. So copy my user profile. I submit my work here. And then I'm done. That's it. Now, if you're claiming a character, you use the generator, and you just fill in the details here. Name, birth date, age, profession, platform, motive, moral alignment, what is this character driven by, what is this character's professional goal, modern country of origin. Once you submit, one of our team will upload the character to the wiki, or you can do it by copying and pasting an existing character page. So we are creating the lore piece by piece of this puzzle, chapter by chapter, team by team, person by person, every contributor owning their impact is titled property. This is the title to the property that is that impact. It's rights, process, results as property for $27. So with that in mind, my disability is sort of acting up heavy. I'm starting to sweat. I need to go get horizontal ASAP. I gotta stop streaming. Paul, thank you for hanging in there throughout this whole thing. I'll follow up. I know this is long. If you watch it 2x, that's awesome. And thank you all a lot. All right. I'm gonna stop streaming.